Good morning, blessings to everyone from Reach Souls Films. The following video that I have that I'm going to share with everyone today is called Holiness and Family Life, and it's going to be coming from the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verses 18 through 21. And again, that's coming from the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verses 18 through 21. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get right into the lesson, starting and I will be reading from the New International Version. Please read and study these scriptures for yourself. Starting at verse 18, it says this: Wives, submit to your husbands as is fitting in the Lord. 19. Husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. 20. Children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. 21. Fathers, do not embitter your children, or they will become discouraged. In verse 18, Paul gives the three sets of rules for household relationships: husbands and wives, parents and children, and masters and slaves. In each case, there is mutual responsibility to submit and love, to obey and encourage, to work hard and be fair. Husbands must love their wives with tender and faithful affection. Dutiful children are the most likely to prosper, and parents must be tender as well as children obedient. Wifely submission cannot be forced. It must come from her own free will, as is fitting in the Lord. Means the wife's submission to her husband is proper in her relationship with Christ. Submission rendered her husband is submission rendered to Christ. And the meaning of submission is yield. Christian submission is to voluntarily yield in love and consider another's needs more important than one's own. And in verse 19, it explains Christian marriage involves mutual submission, subordinating own personal desires for the good of the loved one, and submitting ourselves to Christ as Lord. The duty of the husband is to love your wives. The Greek word for love is agapeo, the same affection with which God so loved the world. This type of love is a willing and sacrificial giving of oneself for the benefit of another without thought of return. Do not be harsh with them simply means the husband who loves his wife will not be rude, unkind, or cruel towards her. This implies that wifely submission is gained in part by the husband's love. And in verses 20 and 21, children must be handled with care. They need firm discipline and minister in love. Don't alienate them by nagging, deriding, or destroying their self-respect so that they don't lose heart. Obedience to parental authority is pleasing to the Lord in the child's relationship with Him. The obedience given to parents is obedience given to Christ. And what I'm going to go over now is explain in detail the roles of the family. The husband is supposed to be the leader. And first, before I go any further, make sure your husband is truly following Christ. He is supposed to be the spiritual leader of the home. If he is doing his best to follow Christ, don't do everything that you can to beat him down, to knock him down. But if he is not following Christ, then you have to leave him and go with your first love, which is Christ. He is supposed to be the financial leader, the one who sets the rules in the home. And if your husband is following Christ, then your role as the wife, the helpmeet, is supposed to kick in and helping him to enforce the rules of the home, not in a mean, nasty way, but showing love is what the role of the husband is supposed to be. You may not always agree. You and your husband, you might not always agree on things, but pray about it. Let Christ help you come to a conclusion in whatever situation you're dealing with. Now, the role of the wife is the wife is supposed to be the helper for the husband. Help him without complaining. Look for ways to make her husband happy. Both the husband and the wife is supposed to work together over finances. Financially, do everything you can. Basically, just look out for his good. Never let job, people get in the way of your relationship with your husband. Spend as much time with your husband as you can. Always be there to love him, not fuss at him, complain, or get an attitude. Every time the wife wakes up, her goal, how can I make my husband happy today? Also be there to help him raise the children, but not to replace him, but to help him with the children and make sure both the husband and the wife is working together to raise the children. But make sure that Christ is in the middle of your family, because if he's not, then your family and your family life is going to be a hot mess. Christ needs to be back in these families, especially in this day and time. Do it today. Make sure your home and your family life is a happy one. And if you have Christ in your families, then you're doing everything that you can to obey him, then your family life is gonna be a happy one. So, in other words, this is what the family life should be. Families are all out of order because Christ is not in the middle of these families. But Christ ahead of your families, if Christ is ahead of your families, you will truly see a more happier family. But nowadays, that's the one thing that people don't want to do. They don't want to do that. And then they wonder why their family and their family life is a hot mess. Get Christ into your family today. First, submit to Christ. Then husbands submit to wives. Wives submit to husbands. Children submit to the authority of your parents. And I'm talking to this I'm talking to this directly to the children. And I'm going to get more into detail about that subject for the video for May. But this right here, this section right here is aimed directly towards the children. And children, submit to the authority to your parents, because the word says it is the right thing to do, so that your days on this earth will be long, and so that you will be blessed by Christ. We need Christ in these families. Is Christ in your family today? But that's the main thing, what needs to happen in these families today. Get Christ back in these families, because I see these families today, the families all out of order. Just the families are basically a hot mess. But this is the following video that I wanted to share with everyone this morning. I just pray that this video could be a blessing to everyone watching. I really and truly do. And in ending this video, from everyone at Reach Souls Films, stay committed to Jesus and to doing his will.